and she was amazing. Our Monday is normal people's Friday. I like to make dancing chimeras. Stupid tradition, but it's not stupid at all.
Gianpiero, he's the master of routines, and
We hop from good mood to good mood.
this is a difficult question.
Well, I would first of all ask if this imaginary person suffers or not from being stuck.
Very difficult question.
Thank you for joining us today. It's my distinct pleasure to be sat here with Lorena Tarantino and Gianpiero Galdi, who have very kindly taken the time out of their very, very busy schedules to have a sit down and a little chat with us. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you've done many interviews, and so we'll skip through some of the lighter questions that you normally get at the beginning, and we'll cut straight into some of the deeper stuff. So with that, GP, you started tango at quite a young age. Can you tell us a bit more about your father, how it is that he introduced you to tango and what role it is that he played in your development?
So, not giving for granted that people might have heard about this story, but to cut it short, my dad and my mom started to dance before me. Mm-hmm. So I was 9 or 10 years old when they started, and eventually I started at 12, but I was already there around and among tango people. So it took a while to grow in me, but eventually I started to become more passionate and studying. So something that I might be sharing in this regard is highlighting the importance of a supportive figure, as even if from one aspect, maybe we might have the chance to discuss it further, the career of the dancer might not be what a parent might mostly wish for their children. So this, I have to say that in part was like this. But also my dad, which is an engineer, and my mom is a school teacher. So they might have wished for a simpler and more straightforward normal job. But also were always very supportive of my choices and also of the growth, and always provided the means to pursue it. So it's hard for me to pick a specific moment where I started to be professional. It's there is a large gray area in which I was already doing things, but I have to totally give a big gratitude mention to both my parents to have been there for me, and in those indecisive moments when that every youngster has. Well, what am I gonna do with my life, and everything seems so absolute when
very black and white.
Very black and white. Yeah. And I guess that we all learn to deal with nuances later on.
Absolutely, no, it's fantastic. And I think you touched on it briefly. Was tango something you instantly fell in love with, or did you learn to fall in love with it the more you got into it, the more you was around
No,
it?
not at all. I didn't at all fall in love with it right away. It was, well, I mentioned before that as soon as my parents started, they wanted to introduce me and my sister right away because they were passionate. They thought that would be a nice thing for children to try. And but we resisted. So, and after a few years, and I told you around 12 years old, we started, but in brackets, like means that once a week we were kind of participating to the tango lesson. It was only after that I fell in love. I started to fall in love with it when I perceived the immense connection, opportunity with other people. Mm-hmm. And with connection, I don't mean the tango connection. I mean the human connection. Mm-hmm. As I clearly remember a feeling. Even after in my adult age, I always worked a lot with youngsters, teenagers, and in high schools, and I clearly saw in them what I remember, that teenagers have this difficulty in interacting with adults. We don't never know what to say, never know what to do,
awkward.
how to say. It's awkward, and you want to look more mature, but also want protection. It's a whole bunch of stuff. And I felt that with tango I had a direct channel of interaction in which for a few minutes I could dance and there was no question asked. And it was a little bit more paritarian. So I think that made me fall in love at the beginning.
That's beautiful. What a beautiful thing. And Lorena, tell us a little bit about your parents. Was it their idea to introduce you to ballet, or?
Well, not their idea. I don't remember this, but my mother, she told me that I wanted to start ballet because all my schoolmates were doing ballet. At that time I was 5 years old. And the school was right under the day school. So it was very easy and protected. So she was happy that I was starting that path. And I continued for 13 years. So it was a beautiful journey.
That's incredible. And you met tango as a teenager. And so your ballet career or development up until that point, do you feel that it kind of helped or hindered maybe your initial progress into the tango world?
So I started tango at 17 years old. I was a little bit sad at that moment because ballet was. I was realizing that ballet could not be my career. So in a way, I wanted to start something else that could help me feel again that sensation of enthusiasm and trying to learn a new art form, but maybe not changing completely the path. And my sister at that time, she proposed me a tango course, and I went there. And I remember that at the time I felt like, well, everything it's just piece of cake. I'm a ballet dancer, and this is just super easy. Gianpiero was the teacher at that time. And he was always doing compliments to everyone. Oh, yes, you can make 2 steps backward, super good. And then 8 steps on the beat, super good. And I was like, yes, of course. And then with time, of course, it became also more challenging. And I was that naive, and I felt the moment in which actually ballet was, I had this bias that just by watching things, I could copy them, and I could copy them good. Mm-hmm. And somehow looking at it was resembling, it was looking good enough. But I realized that actually from the connection point of view, it was definitely not good enough. It was, I had many moments, maybe with many partners. Everybody was very nice, just practicing, you have to give feedbacks and to grow up. And I realized that actually working on connection, it's a completely different world.
Maybe the background was even kind of a...
was against it. My background, because my priority at that time was how it looks. And I wanted to do, it was all about me, it was all about my movements and to look very light and skillful. And then after, because at that time when I started, most of the people were older than me. Mm-hmm. So maybe I was not that into the social life. But after a while, I met many friends, mm-hmm. and the social aspect of tango became also very important. And I started to deep dive more into the connection part. And the connection part became an important path and difficult path, because I had to go against my previous priority and start to consider connection and the other person as a priority, the connection with the person, the priority.
For sure. And so it sounded like from an early age you had kind of wanted to make dance a large part of your life, your career. And so you then landed in tango, decided to make tango your career. How was that with your parents? How did they take this news? How did they react?
So for them, nobody in my family is an artist as a job. Like they have day jobs and they have lots of hobbies. They love and respect art and artists. So my family definitely played a key role into make me fall in love with art, with dance, with tango. My father was playing tango at the piano since I was a kid, and
Piazzolla
fan, yes. And my mother was also always keen to bring me to every show or class, know new teachers or doing a casting. She was always very supportive. So on this, I have to say they've been very important. On the other hand, while growing up, when I was 17, 18, and it was kind of given for granted that I had to start university. It was very naive, like they didn't consider the option of doing tango as a job. Mm-hmm. So when I presented it, they were very scared of it. They didn't want to show it. They were scared. I could feel it, but they wanted to be supportive. They didn't want to stop me, definitely not, and they helped me in many ways. But of course, they didn't know that they never danced tango. They came to some shows, they watched videos. Sometimes they are very curious and they also look at events and try to visit me around. But the beginning for them was scary, and it was important for me to show them that it was not just enjoying nightlife, mm-hmm. but was starting a career into teaching an art form. And diving deeper into this art was not just about having fun, but there was a lot of work that I had to do and to learn.
That's amazing. And I'm sure now, from when they look back to when they maybe had their concerns and their doubts about whether you guys should individually go off into the tango world to make your careers, now they must be thrilled because you're everywhere. You're traveling the world constantly. You've got names up in lights in places. They must be incredibly proud and supportive of both of you guys.
They're happy. It's my mom and dad are already in the tango world, mm-hmm. so they kind of follow the path. But I also have to say that even if Lorena's family is theoretically not in the tango world, they are a lot. We meet them. we meet them almost more than reasonably acceptable. Everywhere, they come everywhere. So they enjoy
And
that.
also they get to know many friends. Tango world is everywhere in the world, but at the same time it's a small world. It's a niche, and there's this beautiful aspect that we get to know people personally, mm-hmm. and we get to know people personally and get to know their families, and they get to know our families sometimes. So. This is also another special thing that they also know personally our colleagues and our friends.
I have to say this.
Sometimes students.
I have to say this anecdote that last year we are from Napoli. We live in Torino, Italy, but we are from the Napoli area, and it was a long time that we didn't perform in Napoli, so we come back home, let's say, after years, and we have this milonga, and for the first time the whole family of Lorena comes.
Not the whole, many 10 people.
Whole family.
So around 10 people come.
I have a big family.
Mother, father, uncle, aunt, brother, sister, and Lorena's legendary grandma. And so we have to do the show, so we come very late to the milonga, but her family comes earlier. And some friends knew that they would have coming, and it was a place in which you could not go with the car, but they made an exception. They arrived with the car, and then the grandma or Lorena exit, and they had prepared, we only knew afterwards, and they showed us video, they had prepared like a corridor of people cheering for the grandma, and the grandma exit from this car as if she was this diva, and they say, "Oh, no, the grandma," and they accompanied her. It was beautiful. She was.
That's amazing.
It was moving.
It was moving after, and so it showed. On one hand, it showed the affection with the Tango
Real
people.
support and
Yes.
everything. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
And coming back home and getting
I
that. It's amazing. So I think, as we touched on before, you've been around the world. It's got to be 3 or 4 times by now at least, and seeing all your different world tours pop up. And I remember I spoke to you guys in Hungary, and I asked you both the same question, and it was about how you keep your energy levels up. And both of you individually, without having conferred, both said it's the most energizing work that you do, and it feeds you, and that's amazing. But all the stuff that comes in between, planes, the travel, the disruption, the delays, is there not some point where you start to feel like, you're burning out a little bit, you're lacking energy? Like, how do you cope with that? How do you deal with these times when you've got 25-hour flights and you just think, maybe no more, maybe we need a break?
I don't think it's we always, every job has its difficulties, and it would be unfair for anybody, and especially from us, to think that we are any different. So probably the rhythm of our job is different from others, but so many endure early morning, wake up every day, and then long hours in which, yes, so we feel very privileged in doing what we do. And also, so the logistical downside, maybe we don't drive every morning in the traffic. We don't have that part, but we might have a very long flight. Yes. For instance, now that we are talking, we arrived 6 a.m. in Tbilisi, and we didn't really sleep yet. So, at the time this morning when we arrived, yes, we felt tired, like everybody would have. But assuming that we get our sleep at some point today, and a good meal that we are sure to have here in Georgia, and we are gonna feel re-energized. So it's I don't think that it's about a special thing, but it's about respecting its own needs. Mm-hmm. So for us, could be one good night's sleep and a good rhythm of meals, for example. For some other people, the recharging part could be coming home in the family and taking a moment on the sofa. I don't know. No. Or it could be a Sunday morning hiking. Like, for example, this is something that we like to do. Every time we get the chance to travel very often. And often we take maybe half a day or 1 day free, and we discover the city. Very often when we get the chance, we like to hike, for instance.
Very nice. Yeah. We've seen the pictures go up, and you guys look fabulous. Like, you wouldn't tell that you fell off a plane at 6 o'clock this morning, drained and tired. I know you ran around and had some other commitments today and then landed up here. So you obviously carry it very, very well.
No, but it is energizing. I mean, it's our work week, first of all, it's swapped with the normal work week. Mm-hmm. So we work in the weekend, and our Monday is normal people's Friday. So which is start our free time, let's say, and but it's always energizing as.
But also tango people, tango organizers, but also social dancers tend to be very caring when they recognize if we are just arriving and maybe need some more time, some more sleep, and people always ask us if we need something, if there is anything that we forgot. And I have to say, everywhere in the world, it has been very supportive and very present, so very adapting to us. And when sometimes we might get tired, and sometimes situations can get adapted. Again, we can change plans. So in this tango family, we feel very lucky.
And I would say that it's not a detail that in the weekends that we go for festivals or whatnot, it's people's free time, so everybody's in a great mood. And this influences, of course. It's not like walking in the office in which everybody's grumpy. And,
no, it's infectious. You walk in, you feel the energy.
For everybody's, so this is, of course, this we hop from good mood to good mood. So this, of course, it's one of the side.
Way of describing it. Hopping from good mood to good mood. That's very, very cool. And so you mentioned hiking, maybe a good night's rest. Do you guys have any other kind of go-to habits or rituals that you might use to recharge yourselves? Books, music, anything?
We try to slowly build up a routine in this along the year, and generally I prefer activities like acrobatics, and I love to go to learn aerial silk, aerial hope, or pole dance, and there are many other activities that I love to train when I'm home. When I'm not home, I try to just feel my body doing yoga or some Pilates, because tango festivals or tango events can be also very demanding for the body. And I love reading books, especially while being on a plane. It's one of my activities. And Gianpiero, he's the master of routines. And
no, it's I'm very proud of
choreographer in life as well.
We try to do activities and of course reading and taking time, and we discovered the pleasure of doing together yoga often. I'm very proud. From a little longer than 1 year, I was very dissatisfied with my mornings, that it would take a while to start. Okay. And since a little bit more than 1 year, I generally take half an hour, almost every day, and I do 10 minutes of yoga, 10 minutes of reading nonfiction, 10 minutes of language, and very little, but it's a kind of gives a pace, and wherever we are in any place, it kind of makes me feel that it's not just the tango part.
Stability, you've got some
yes,
consistency.
Yes.
No, that's incredible. And then I suppose that segues nicely to, it's no secret that your guys' dancing is very, very innovative, and we're constantly seeing new elements come out in your performances and stuff. How do you find the inspiration that you need to create this new content when you're getting to that point where maybe it's been a bit long, you're getting towards the end of your tour and you've been place to place to place, we've got your energizing routines, but what do you do to try and find that inspiration to get that new, very nice element into your routines?
I find that there's not a special key for inspiration, but I think it's the constant pace in doing something. Like when I feel comfortable into having my tango daily, so every day going to milongas, having classes and meeting people from tango, reading or watching videos, watching shows, all of this constantly makes me in the mood of tango, and I get more sensible to details. So this pace, I think it's the flow in which I become inspired. I get more sensible to get those details that can bring me inspirations. So I would say this is for me very important. If I have a vacation, which sometimes we need it, that when I come back to tango, I feel a little bit that I want to get back to that situation, being in shape for tango, which doesn't mean physical shape, but in shape, meaning that my body is kind of recognizing the situation and the daily schedule, and all this makes me again in a state of flow.
It's it should be a process of finding a good degree of instability, so to speak, to come up with stuff. And I, for example, take a lot of notes during the day. If I think of something small, something big, and this eventually triggers a process.
A little idea journal of some description.
Yeah, with when we it might be something, some technical aspect, or it can be a more abstract thought, of course, relative to what we do, and we get to teach a lot, and we try not to get in the routine of teaching always the same lesson with the same words and the same examples. So often we force ourselves to talk about the same topic. All our lessons are very not specific. Usually we write topics in a very broad meaning, which gives us the room to do it 100 times in 100 different ways. And often we force ourselves to say, we know how we could do it, but let's try something different today. And when we are very explorative and we try something new, I generally also journal that, like how it went. Sometimes it just doesn't work, but it's important to try. And we watch a lot of videos, especially Lorena, of other colleagues, of course, and amazing dancers. And we keep the conversation between us. Look at this and look at that and look at what they did here. And when something is interesting, we try to reproduce it and to understand what's special that caught our attention and how this idea could associate to another. So I would also say that creativity is about not stopping there. So it's
Absolutely.
not copy-pasting a quote
No.
or copying a movement, but is maybe elaborate what that quote means or what that idea, dynamic idea
Breaking
could.
it apart, make it your own,
Exactly.
put it back together.
Where could be also. I like to make dancing chimeras, like take a step of movement from someone and a step from movement and kind of mesh them together. This.
It's a very, very cool idea. And you should publish that idea journal one day, a few years down the line, so everyone can see what the thought process was. It's, I think everyone would love that. So I know from my own experience in tango that as you move around different parts of the world, different communities, it feels different from place to place. And so what are some of the differences you notice from being in like the European tango scene, for instance, different to that of Latin America and Asia?
This is a question that everybody asks.
Okay.
Everybody's curious about this. How is it there, and how is it there? How different are we from the other continent? And this is very interesting, meaning that you might spot some differences, but are more about habits that have been established in communities and maybe spread around. But I wouldn't say that they are strictly connected to the culture. I would say that today there is the globalization is very present, especially in our generations. So I would not stress too much the point of how much a culture is influencing the community. But at the same time, sometimes the size of the community has the different sizes of communities makes communities of same size might look alike. And this is generally something that every time we go to a place, we recognize some patterns which are very good, or sometimes are situations in which they get stuck and they really need to do something to boost and change some features. So what is important is that communities are alive. Yes. They are not those for forever. So along the time, communities can shrink or can become huge. And we cannot give for granted that number or that quality. So this is something that we all should be responsible for. Teachers, organizers, musicians, and social dancers. Like everybody plays a key role into this holding the community.
Yes, this is a very good point that behind tango is a human interaction in which you can see the effect of different cultures, but also is a subculture. So I would say that, just like Lorena was saying before, that there are some human dynamics that always present themselves. Contact creates some feelings, and this doesn't need a special culture to create a feeling. Of course, you have cultures in which contact is less common than others, and of course, you have cultures in which different couple arrangements, it's more or less accepted socially, and there are other cultures in which the way to talk to each other is more polite or a bit more casual. This creates an effect, of course, but it's a lot about how does a group of 200 people in a city interact when they meet in the night. More or less is similar. And what if they are not 200 and they are only 50? And what if they are 1,000, like in some cities? So how familiar you are with everybody changes the way you act, and it's kind of similar everywhere, I would say. And this is it's a beautiful thought, actually, to see that. I don't want to go political, but just to say that we are all the same.
Of course. No, that makes perfect sense.
And at the same time, when we dance with a single person, I would say that we never think of dancing with this person from this country. It's a human being with a personality, with a body, with an attitude, and this is always special, always, everywhere in the world. It's not about dancing with a person from that nation, but it's always a special tango dancer and unique tango dancer that we'll meet.
It's incredible. So you're not dancing with a nationality, you're dancing with James or Jenny, or,
Of course.
a person
Of course.
Very nice. And so one of the challenges of being a guest teacher when you're jumping around all these different communities is you have a very limited amount of time to offer what it is that you would like to offer and to give them. And so how can guest teachers make a lasting impact on those small communities instead of just giving it a temporary boost? How can it kind of follow through and get some longevity?
This is a question that we have been asked ourselves very profoundly. So I would say many different things. So the most obvious is to inspire, meaning that you do something or say something or show something that sparkle an idea. Of course, in that case, it's you should trust the process. You should trust the opportunity. So maybe we do a show, and then someone looking at that show, one every 100 has some process that gets rolling. And then we more and more trying to invest in places in which we get enough workshops that to say something of an impact. We suffer a lot the events in which maybe we have too short time, or in which the level of the extraction of the background of people is too diverse, and so we got to suffer a bit the superficiality of what it might be. But more and more we are working with schools that already kind of integrate with what we do. So more and more the students we meet are not completely unfamiliar. Most of the cases they kind of already know. So it's building on top of a foundation. We are also investing more and more in workshops that are interconnected. So and kind of forcing the student to spend the whole weekend with us rather than sampling one lesson to see if they like. So
just like the workshops that you guys have been doing in Florence and Turin. I think I had the privilege of attending one of these a couple of years ago. It was incredible. It's amazing.
Yeah, we try to do more and more of an intensive experience, maybe organized by others, or like the one you came that we organize ourselves with the people that follow us a little bit more often, in which yes, it's just 1 or 2 or 3 days, but intense enough to come back with something that, of course, has to be elaborated further.
At the same time, we try always to be very to check where are the points, where the linking points that we can find with the community. So sometimes we have to change our strategies of teaching and to adapt to the situation and try to work starting from their background. So this is always very important. Not giving for granted that they should know some features or some characteristics, some skills. We try, even if it is repeating, spending time in repeating things, we like to start again from basics, maybe quickly, but assuring that the class can follow very uniformly, not people don't miss something because maybe they didn't have
They don't get left
that
behind.
background. Yes, don't let them behind.
Nice. And so what advice would you give to a dancer who feels like they're stuck? Maybe they're in a small community, they've got limited learning opportunities. Some of the maestros don't make it to these smaller places because there's less people to teach, or maybe it's just not on their route. What kind of advice could you offer to these people that are stuck in their dance and they want to get better?
Well, I would first of all ask if this imaginary person suffers or not from being stuck, because you might be stuck and not suffer from it. So no problem. It's what I love from the tango world is that it's enjoyable at any stage. It's enjoyable the very first day, it's enjoyable after 1 month, after 1 year, after 10 years. Mm-hmm. So, and it's enjoyable at any depth. You could be like sometimes we call them a Sunday dancer that doesn't care about the culture behind it, doesn't care about the broader community, only likes her or his 2 hours casual dancing on a Sunday afternoon, and it's okay because it's also beautiful. I just say that would be a pity because it's just scratching the surface of something beautiful, but it's not mandatory to open the box. So of course, if we are talking about the ones that would like to open the box, so have the feeling of being stuck in the meaning of not finding easily a path, I would just say to look harder, as we have the incredible privilege to be able to travel the world. Mm-hmm. And there is a tango community almost everywhere, and there are so many tango events. Maybe the world is becoming more and more difficult, but still, it's I would argue quite a friendlier place than 100 years ago.
Absolutely.
So take a plane. I would say take a plane.
Take a plane.
At the same time, of course, we cannot always travel if we are trying to build a community in a place. So as a second advice, I would say teaching, it's for professionals, for example, it's a very profound moment which gives inspiration and gives insight that nothing else can give you about teaching. So teaching in your community, just in your community, having beginner courses, and then maybe trying to let them continue. This is something very profound that gives lots of insights. Everybody's confirming that. It's also our experience. Like this, everyday teaching makes it very always inspiring. For a social dancer, it's the same. While dancing in Milonga, we trying to dance with new people, exploring all the milongas in a city makes it special. So very often people get stuck because they want to go always to the same milonga and dance always with the same people. There is nothing bad. Like it's like going to a bar with your friends and you want to talk with your friends. You're not just speaking to everybody. Everybody's stable. But at the same time, to find inspirations, not trying to seek for a specific experience, but just being open to offer an experience as a social dancer, to bring your good mood in the milonga and being open to receive experiences, different ones from the one that you have already experienced.
Amazing. And so I think one of the things I really admire about both of you is that you're in the ronda. It doesn't matter where you go. I've seen you in these different countries. You're at the milongas, you're in the rondas, you're dancing with the everyday people, high level, low level, whatever. It's all good. It's amazing. So recently, where's a place that you've enjoyed dancing socially?
Very recently, so where was the place where we mostly went? Well, in US we were dancing.
In US we enjoyed a lot.
milongas.
Yeah.
Yes. We had a tour in April in 4 cities, and we went to dance a lot there.
We also love very much the trip we usually take at the beginning of the year, every year, in Far East Asia. And Taipei, Hong Kong, and Seoul are amazing places where to dance socially. Especially the last one, Seoul. But everybody knows it.
Yes.
It's so special how in that city somehow the stars aligned. And and I think that the most special thing, because everything else I would account it as a natural consequence, is that they have a big enough community with little milongas distributed enough and cheap enough, and that the common tango dancer goes to dance almost every night. And this habit, because when tango is something you do once every second week, it's not really part of your life. It maybe can be important,
Yes.
but it's not part of your, I don't know.
Your DNA is not ingrained into you.
Yeah. When it's something that you can almost do casually in your night, maybe you go to dinner and then you say, you know what, I hop to a milonga, then it takes a special place. Of course, only few cities in the world have this privilege, but it's not a surprise that the ones that do have it have something special, because you feel that the dancing there is not charged of all these expectation that a super posh Saturday night with your best necklace would have. That may be very special, but is the non-special habit that I would say.
The kind of casuality of it, being able to just wander in, wander out.
Yes, it changes the way in which the community experiences.
Stunning. Excellent answer. And so at the moment, which tango orchestra are you currently enjoying listening to?
We try to listen and dance to all orchestras, but of course we have our moments in which we listen more one orchestra or another. So I would say
Which one?
Recently I love listening to Disarli and dancing to Disarli.
I would say my old favorite is usually, I would always say Troilo, but I enjoy very much the socially Calo.
Okay, really nice. Excellent choices. And you can't have done as much as you guys have done in the tango world without having a couple of interesting experience. And so what's one of the most unforgettable invitations that you've had to dance, whether it be in a milonga or another setting?
This is a difficult question.
Well, I can say, while you think, I cannot pick one, but I can say that there is a situation that sometimes happens, which is a super long range mirada en cabeceo. I love it when it happens. That you are maybe in a big place and I'm there, she is somewhere in the crowd, 1,000 yards. And because and then you look at each other, and even if you don't clearly see the white of the eyes, you know that you're looking at each other. And this is special as what for me, aside of the etiquette of mirada and cabeceo, which without context is just might appear almost a stupid tradition, but it's not stupid at all. I always say to the newer generation that feel we are in the new in a new era.
Yeah.
This is old stuff. It's not old stuff, because maybe etiquette per se might be old-fashioned, but the concept is reciprocity. And when you are absolutely sure that there is reciprocity, it's just so much smoother. Yes. And long distance mirada and cabeceo are for sure showing reciprocity.
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree. This is a special thing, that when you both know that you really want to dance with each other, and even better if you both kind of know which tanda you want to dance, and you are both waiting for that moment to happen.
And you know that
Also
that person is
risking,
with.
yes, that risking that it might be different or not happening, because tandas are going on, or maybe one of us is leaving, so sometimes you don't know. But this this makes it very cared. Like we are putting in it lots of care, trying to find that tuning with each other in that special tanda in that moment.
Specific wavelength. You hear the tanda, you both find each other immediately. That's no.
You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I want you to imagine the impossible now. Imagine that you are not tango dancers. What career would you see yourself in if you was not in tango?
Very difficult question. Like, dance has always been my life. I've been very passionate about scientific, in the scientific world. So I loved chemistry, math in school, but I was not imagining that as my life. So I can't really say one apart from time. Maybe this also made me so much like, even when I started tango and I fell deeply in love with it, very naively I felt like I want to do this. So I still don't know what it is, but I want to do this. I want to know more about this, and I want to spend most of my life in it. And this was that naivety maybe was giving me was giving me a boost into doing without knowing, like, and being a bit more courageous. Maybe nowadays, judging at the past, I feel like I would reproach myself, like, what did you do? Like, you didn't know, like, the first travels, the first classes, like, all this was very very new. So I can't really say another.
Yeah, it's a hard thing, and I don't have a ready-made answer. I can just say that I am passionate, and what I like the most from the teaching aspect of teaching tango is to facilitate people into something. So I would say that probably I definitely couldn't do something with a fixed timing, fixed place. I would need some degree of freedom and I would always be passionate in solving some kind of human problem. So could be more physical, could be more therapeutical, I don't know, could be...
We have many psychotherapists in the tango world, don't we? Like, I think there's a connection there somewhere.
Could be more, and I was very fascinated at some point. This was one of my doubting time in the osteopathic path, for instance. But I would say something to work with people, for sure. Something.
Okay, nice. All right, so let's finish with a smile. What's one moment from your tango journeys that even now, when you look back and you remember it, it just puts a big smile on your face?
A special moment for me was when I did my very first travel for tango, working. So I remember my partner at that moment of tango, Vladislav Petrov from Bulgaria. He invited me to teach there. I was maybe 20 at that time, and that was my very first working trip. So I was totally unexperienced. So this was, and I was very young, and I didn't start the tango that much early. So I was just doing some local classes. So the trust in it from a friend, from my partner to invite me and to teach in a different language, which I never did at the time. So this was, it's a special moment that, again, if I look in the past, I smile for the trust and how it went and the beautiful moment that it was. That I think this was one of the key moments that made me continue and made me more trustful in myself in a way. This was a moment which kind of gave a start also to the professional path in a way.
Let me just share an anecdote, as we have so many, but finding the connection with what we talked about before, about falling in love with tango. Maybe there are some key landmarks of this passion, and in other circumstances I already told the story of my first trip with my dad to Buenos Aires, and at the beginning he always was bringing me to, I was 15, and with milongas with much older people, and I couldn't really enter. Eventually I started to enjoy also those milongas, but at the beginning I couldn't, and I was saying this story that one night he mistook milonga and he brought me in a milonga where everybody was super young and with the strobo lights, and it was super the Tango Nuevo time with the electronic tango. And so an anecdote about that. So it was in a moment in which I was very bored about going to milongas, and we entered the milonga, the lights, and then it was, I think Tanghetto was an electronic tango group, very popular at the moment. And I don't know what to do. There are so many beautiful girls all of a sudden, and I went to one. I don't even know about Mirada Cabeceo so much. So I went to, I cannot say the name, but very famous dancers right now. So I was 15. She was 17 at the time. So I kind of touch, I don't know, something like this. And then she turns around, and she's beautiful, and she's extremely South American, but she was having contact lenses of light blue. Totally like almost like a cyberpunk thing with the, and with these lights, and I invite her, and she was nice with me. She should have said no. She said, okay. And then I came back to my dad. I said, boom, and she was amazing, already super young, but already amazing. And I came back to my dad and I said, I think I am in the right place. So I would say that. That's
incredible. Very nice. Well, I can't thank you guys enough for making the time to come and be with us today. It's been absolutely incredible. If you guys have enjoyed the content that you've seen today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay up to date. In the meantime, it's ciao for now.
Bye.
Bye.